really appreciate your delivery today. I think it educated us a lot. And for me, I felt very guilty because I know that I drink a cup of coffee with 5 spoons of sugar. Yeah, I know. So I think I need to start there. I think I'll limit from today. I'll go to 3. I'll try. But my question, Madam, is the issue of language barriers. We are here, we are speaking good English, but I think, you know, when we go to rural areas and we have to explain some of the concepts, I think it becomes a difficulty because there is that will for the university, especially through community engagement. And I think it's one platform that can be used to reach out to communities. But how do we get to block that barrier of language? Because it's hard to communicate some of the things. Not all our parents, majority of them, they're not highly educated. So how do we get to communicate this message in a simpler way? And we welcome your input about social media. I think we'll start tweeting about such issues instead of Casper University and others. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to take 3 questions at a time if that's fine with you. Let's go here and then to Rudy, but the lady here.
Hello? Hello? Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bongi, and I'm from Charlotte Maclaika Hospital. So I'm from the practical side of cancer. So can I just steal this 5 minutes just to give you an awareness of real cancer? Okay, I work in the cancer department, the reality of cancer. That's where we treat patients, and we see a lot of cancer patients. And I'd just like to inform you that I'd like to just testify to what Madame has said. That one thing that's really killing us is the lack of knowledge. We need to know more about our bodies and about cancer. I call cancer isifo sebat, an unfortunate disease, because you can be living the healthiest life ever, and then one day just go for a checkup and find that you have cancer. So it's very important for us to know our bodies and not to postpone going to the doctor, because it's better to go to the doctor and the doctor tells you you have cancer, but it's at an early stage, than to go there and be informed it's cancer and it's late. So firstly, don't be scared to go to the doctor when you're sick. And I don't want to talk bad about our doctors. Normally, our GPs are not well informed about cancer. So go to them, and if you don't feel well, and if you're not healed in about a week, go to the doctor again. Ask him to take some blood and check for cancer. Okay, so that's the first. But then I'd like to pose the question to Madame. Madame, we are in this public sector health department, and we are putting ourselves out there to help out to the community, to reach out and inform people about cancer, but we can't. We have red tapes all over. How do we go about assisting as cancer people who have vast knowledge about cancer?
Sorry, my dear, can you elaborate on what those barriers are?
I've written proposals to the Department of Health to educate the children at schools particularly about cancer and the signs and symptoms, because I believe that if you can teach students particularly, then they're the ones to look out for the families at home. I've also, just to throw in, I've also volunteered for some of the NGOs, and we have problems accessing some of the major hospitals to inform them about such things as prostate cancers. I've got prostate survivors, a team of guys who would like to go inform and teach, but we get red taped all over. So thanks.
I don't like these mics, where's the other mics? These things are making a noise. Good evening. My name is Rudy Peterson. I'm here from the University from Advancement. Madam First Lady, we'd like to acknowledge your presence and thank you. We didn't think that the First Lady can offer the time just to come in as an ordinary person and address us. I think that deserves a round of applause. I was just listening to as you were speaking, and I thought when you said, no, I also live and live the healthy lifestyle, when you were mentioning an example of the pillow talk, I supported that pillow talk. Pillow talk is also part of healthy lifestyle. Eh? So be aware on that pillow talk is very much a part of the healthy lifestyle, and we should all engage in very healthy pillow talk, and we can get a lot done. I was just speaking about it. It's strange, Madam First Lady. I was just speaking about the other day, and I was speaking about marriage, and I said, Young, we sometimes are faced with challenges, and we need to rely on someone. And that someone is that person right next to you. And if you cannot share that intimacy with that someone next to you, who you going to share? So hence I'm saying pillow talk is also part of healthy lifestyle. I just have a question, a challenge. It seems to me that no matter what projects and no matter what awareness we create out there, there is still a subtle ignorance. And yeah, I'm not only addressing women, but I'm just addressing healthy eating. There is just, we can say you must live a healthy lifestyle, healthy eating, print media and all that, but we live in a society that is generally ignorant. I guarantee you, as students here, when we go out this room, half of this room would be consuming Ama chips, bulk of that chips. So there's the issue of poverty. Now I want to check. I was once in a healthy lifestyle project with the city of Johannesburg, and somebody said, well, we must eat healthy, and there was an auntie selling quotas, and she said, but for me, I have to put the chips and the acha in there because students don't have money. That 5 rand and 10 rand is where they buy this quota. So then it affects, obviously, the healthy lifestyle. So I just want to check with you, Madam First Lady, the issue of poverty, our people not affording, and the issue of healthy lifestyle. Because the students will say, I need to eat the chips. There's not much I can do. The salads and those things doesn't fill me up. I need to eat that chips. So just on healthy lifestyle and eating habits. Thanks.
Thank you. I think I'm going to start with the gentleman that did pose the question about the language barriers. During my speech, I did indicate that it is very important that our messages are done in local languages for that particular group, recipient or end beneficiary. For us as the foundation, we ensure that as much as we do have the English, the printed pamphlets or whatever you want to call it done in English, but we still have to have the ones that will be done in Zulu if we go to the deep rural parts of KwaZulu-Natal, or even KwaZulu-Natal to people who are Zulu speaking. But when we go to Northwest, we also have to have those messages done in languages that our people in Northwest are going to hear. Because there's no point in speaking in a language that people are not going to hear. Here in the university, it is assumed that the medium of used is English. But when we go to the rural areas, we've got to do it in local languages. I could never go to, for instance, on the 24th, on Sunday, I'm going to be in Umshwati, in KwaZulu-Natal, with the municipality of Umshwati. They've got their Imbizo. We've got where the community comes together and they address the issues that are affecting the community, but we've added and dovetailed the health aspect of raising awareness and educating the people of Umshwati. It would not make sense for me to stand in front of them, carry on in English, to mama abangangizwa nokuthi ngithini uma ngikhuluma ngesingisi. So uma ngifika eMshwati, I'm also going to be speaking in a language that Umshwati will hear me. So that is my advice to you. So if you go to, as university students, if you do have programs wherein you take the services, awareness programs to the communities and the rural communities, you've got to develop them in languages that are relevant to them. So I don't know if I've answered you. The second one is for you, my dear. I share in your challenge, in your frustrations We also on the same boat. Proposals, you talked about proposals. The funding is something that is so difficult to attract. It is so difficult even for me, you can imagine being placed in this position, but funding is so difficult to attract in order to implement the programs that we have. We've got so many programs. My foundation is led by medical people that have got brilliant ideas. That when they approached me, they said, ma'am, I've got what do you call it? She's got rooms in Sentin. And she said, I see patients that can afford to go for a second opinion in Europe or in the West. But I need the platform to give back to the ordinary. I don't have that platform. And she said, can I serve in your board? Because it's the only place where I can be able to give back to South Africa. She's in fact, I think she's the first black medical oncologist in our country, female. And she said, I need a platform to give back. And I said, by all means. And she also, when she got to understand, and she said, but how is it that you're funding the foundation from your own savings? It doesn't make sense. But it's the reality in that funding is key to successful implementation of the programs. You have brilliant ideas, you are eager to take them to the people who are going to benefit the most, who are in our communities. But you need the very funding in order for you to implement those. And it's the biggest challenge ever. And I did allude during my speech that it's because donor funders have had channeled their funding towards fighting HIV/AIDS. Funding for HIV/AIDS is not an issue. It's there. It's available. But when you talk cancer, the minute you start talking cancer, they'll listen to you, but in the end, and it's a similar scenario with minister to say, Minister, can you invest in the future? It's nothing tangible. You ask a minister to invest when he wants to deal with problems that are tangible, that he wants to deal with now, that he can see results of, like we now celebrating the milestone of not having children getting HIV/AIDS from their mothers. Those milestones, he knew that, the term he would be able to get return on an investment. But for you to say, Minister, something that I cannot touch, it's like selling airtime. Because I worked in that environment where you're selling something you can't touch as opposed to selling a can of, something to drink, something that is tangible. So it's a frustration that we share NGO, NPO space, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you give up on the dream that you have to create awareness and educate our people. In terms of the red tapes, yes, red tapes are everywhere. And it's a frustration also that I share with you. But I was hoping that you'd be more specific on what sort of red tapes that you were referring to. That one can be also specific in that I'm with the people from the Department of Health. That if you are having challenges with the Department of Health, we do have access to the Department of Health. The only advantage that my foundation has is that I can call on Minister and summon him to come to the official residence, and I can sit with him and say, Minister, these are the challenges. How do we respond? How can I help you as the government of the day to achieve your Millennium Development Goals? Because I share in your vision, and I can see where you want to take our country. So that's probably, I'm just assuming, but I'm not too sure what sort of red tapes you're referring to. But in terms of implementing your programs that you have, that you'd like to implement, I share in your frustration in that funding is an issue. You probably even can attract philanthropists that can believe in your vision, that can believe in your proposal to say, I can assist you, this is what, but donor funders as well, they are smarter now in that they've been abused in the past. Their funding has been abused in the past. So now they're more prescriptive in that when you get donor funding, they are more specific in saying, I want you to use my funds in X, Y, Z, and beneficiary 80-20 principle so that you don't disappear with the money, or I don't put my money in a dark hole where I don't get to get a return on investment. Healthy eating. Varsity, may I redirect that to the universities to say, can we, I'm calling on them as well, to say, if we are to invest in the future of our youth, we're not only investing in them academically and growing them academically, we also need to invest in their health as well, in ensuring that the meals that are prepared are not meals that are also going to make them feel fatigued after eating, and they can't even go and sit in the library and focus for an hour. So if we can also look at our menus to ensure that, you know, what is prepared for our students is healthy. So yeah, I'm your champion advocating now for our students to be served healthy meals, and I think it's a problem that is experienced by many of the universities. But I'm not now saying to you, you must go toy-toying. I'm saying because it seems like now it's the norm in our country whereby if you don't agree, you're now going to go and put out a protest. I'm not saying do that. There are many ways of ensuring that you engage and you get your message across without having to take it to the streets. Thank you, and I don't know if you're satisfied. And if they don't change and you don't see any results, you can call on me, info@tmzfoundation.co.za.
Rudy's pillow talk is giving us additional work at the university now. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take 2 questions because we are pressed for time and we don't want to infringe too much on our First Lady's time. We are way over time. I'm going to ask you to keep your questions short, please. No more than 20 seconds. I've got one hand here. And there's a hand right at the back there. I've got to be fair, I've got to give a male also an opportunity here tonight. I feel a little bit outnumbered here. So let's go here first. Let's start with you.
Okay, good evening everyone. My question is to you, Fatima. I am a breast cancer survivor and I just need to answer, give this question. Why is the mammogram screenings placed at 40? Because, you know, as a survivor, I've seen so many young women under the age of 30, in their 20s even, who've had breast cancer. Why? What's the reason is at 40, the screening?
You know, the breast tissue is very sensitive. The breast tissue is very sensitive. So the younger you are, the more sensitive it is. And mammograms, basically, there's radiation coming from it. So rather than the mammogram, you'd rather advocate self-breast examinations. And that is very important. So we'd rather encourage women to do those type of examinations first. And then if you're not sure, do the clinical breast examination. And a clinical breast examination is done by a health practitioner. And thereafter, if necessary, then go for the mammogram. But it's just that it's radiation to that tissue. And radiation can cause also damage.
Thank you. Then the last questions, right?
I moved for the video purposes. they say so. My question is around, maybe the academics will answer me as well. I had a case, I come from the rural part, the don't have part. No, when you're sick, you don't go and see a doctor. You go to the clinic. And in that case, there was a lump in the breast. And we go to the clinic, they refer to the hospital. When we get there, the test was done, but the unfortunate part, we could not get results because we were told, which is true, that the cytology lab is only in Pietersburg. And with me taking that person from Joburg, I have to come back to Joburg. 2 months down the line when I go to Joburg and ask for the result, they said it was carcinoma. It has to be confirmed at Medunsa by somebody who has a pathologist of some sort. And it was very much frustrating because it started when the lump was still very small, when something can be done. I think if you go today to see a medical doctor, one of those quick private Lancet empath will quickly give you cytology and you will be sorted. But it was not done. And at home there was also issues of, I don't know how to put it in English, where people still think, it's a lump, so it's not necessarily a cancer. So I wanted to find out from the academics, are there any set in place whereby, you know what, those who doesn't have, they also get to enjoy to have their cancer healed?
All right, now thank you very much for that. And I think it's important to know that the first admission we will make that there are certain inequalities in our healthcare system at this stage. And I think referral systems were referred to. We know that we don't have all the facilities at all levels. But our health minister is very proactive, and this is one of the reasons why we are really pushing for the national health insurance system. Getting that on the table, because once we have national health insurance, irrespective of your background, whether you're poor or whether you're middle class, you will have access to world-class health facilities. And that's the driver that the minister is driving at the moment, that in a couple of years we will sit in the same venue and we will not hear a story like yours, but you will hear a story that said, when I went to my primary healthcare clinic, I was referred immediately to a secondary hospital or another hospital. Immediately I got a related service and I got treatment at a tertiary facility. And that's what we're striving for. I unfortunately don't have a direct answer for you, but we're building on these problems that we're having through the Department of Health, through our Minister of Health, building a very effective healthcare system for all citizens of this country through national health insurance. So let's contribute to that, let's support it, and let's not be reactive to the national health insurance system, because it's going to create a wonderful health insurance system for every citizen of this country. I want to thank you very much for your contributions, Madam First Lady. It was very enlightening. It highlighted a lot of issues. I think the one thing I have to say to you is I think you're going to have to come back and visit our university again. I think if I ask here for another round of questions, we'll be keeping you here till 10 o'clock tonight. So next time we're going to start earlier and we're going to keep you for longer. But I think it's a very topical discussion. We haven't even touched on some of the main cancers in the country. But I think the whole purpose of this evening here tonight is to sensitize, to make everybody aware that every single one of us in this room's got to carry the message. And as we carry the message and the fight against HIV/AIDS, we've also got to carry the fight against NCDs on the broad spectrum. It includes cancers. So thank you very much for your messages, for your positive approach. We wish you well with your foundation. Fatima, thank you very much for your contributions. It's much appreciated. And I want to thank everybody for attending and for contributing. But the real thanks will come from Dr. Rensburg now. And I'm going to hand over to Dr. Rensburg. And while Dr. Rensburg is making her way to the podium, can I just request you all, I see you all looking at me big-eyed. You all are saying to me, I'm hungry, it's been a long evening. Please remain seated, food will be served immediately.
The University of Johannesburg. Rethink, reinvent.